Morning, everyone. It's Joe Waxman, and I'm back with another video. This morning, I would like to take a look at the chart of actor, singer, songwriter Miley Cyrus. And it's not because I'm a fan. I, don't necessarily agree with everything she has done, or I don't really listen to her music. But I think she's an interesting character, and it's good to look at her chart. It's good to look at everyone's chart, really. So we can't be too biased in astrology. Just kind of got to look at the good and the bad and everything in between. And I'm not a hater. I really don't hate her at all. I think she's interesting. She's provocative. Just going to share my screen here. And yeah, like she's manipulated by the powers that be, but so what? She's got her own nature, her own character, some good, some bad, some in between. Anyway, Miley Cyrus, 23rd of November, 1992, 4:19 p.m., Nashville, Tennessee. Her father is Billy Ray Cyrus, country singer. Never even listened to a single song of his. Yeah, Miley Cyrus got her start young in Disney, Hannah Montana. Then she had that typical fake, the whole thing about Disney is like, it's really coming out to be like some front for pedophiles, and it's really disgusting. Child traffic, more children get taken from Disneyland or Disney World than anywhere else. I mean, Disney's really a horrible operation that's part of the pedophilia network. And Hannah Montana coming out of there and becoming overly sexualized by, and that's all pre-programmed. It's all like manipulated because that's their whole agenda to corrupt these young kids and to get them into like hypersexualization and all that. But it's not to say that Hannah Montana is just merely a puppet, or sorry, not Hannah Montana. Miley Cyrus is merely just a puppet. And I know that because I can see her chart and I can see her influences. I mean, she's a willing participant and she's her own person too. So there's there's different sides. So let's look at it. All right. 23rd of, I just said that. Okay. Sun in Sagittarius at 1 degree. It's right outside her descendants in the 7th house. Fantastic for being a star. She's been in tons of movies and she's a singer. She's quite multi-talented. I mean, you can't just make this stuff up. They're not just going to put anyone on the stage and just be like, hey, as long as you do what we say, you're going to be a star. It doesn't work like that. I know some people think that they can just make anyone star. They cannot. You have to have star quality, and she has star quality. She would have been a star no matter what. So, I mean, this is purely coming from astrological perspective. It's not based on speculation of who Miley Cyrus is, or like, just their ability to say like, oh, do what we say and you look like the part and you'll be a star. No, these people do have star quality. Sun in the 7th. I mean, right conjunct, basically the descendant, very close. It's in Sagittarius. Sagittarius, wild and free, untamed. It's mutable fire. It's, they got that swag, like I always say. It's fire. It's confident. It's burning. It's passionate. It's philosophical, and it's in the 7th house. There's a highly egotistical position in relationship, but fantastic for a star. Like you see this a lot of times. Sun right in the 7th. I mean, as far as personal relationships, if anyone thinks they want to have like a equal one-on-one relationship with Miley Cyrus, I'm sorry, they're going to be disappointed. It's not going to be that way unless unless somebody else also has like Sun on the descendant or Sun on the ascendant, or maybe Sun in the 10th house, or even Sun on the 4th house. I mean, there's got to be they got to be strong enough to stand up to her. Otherwise it just won't, like, she'll just be dominant, because she is dominant. But that's the kind of thing that makes for a great star, like somebody who can just stand in front of the stage and have a big enough light shining out of their presence to fill up the stage. If somebody's meek and small and humble and shy, sure, they might be great in a relationship, but they're not going to be a star. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. There's always a trade-off. There's always a balance. And she's got that sun here. You can't make this stuff up, right? And then Mercury and conjunct Moon, conjunct Pluto in Scorpio, also conjunct the descendant. Mercury's in retrograde. And by the way, Mercury's in retrograde now. And so I just want to say a couple things about Mercury in retrograde. Mercury in retrograde is fantastic for thinking, fantastic for reflecting, fantastic for going internal, but it's not fantastic for being on the spot, for speaking candidly. So like, this is somebody, Miley Cyrus, it's great for, you know, scripted stuff. So like, it's fine for acting, and it's fine for singing, and it's fine for writing. It's not great for improv, right? You know, for me, I'm Mercury dominant in at least my sun and moon for the luminaries, because I got Gemini sun and Virgo moon, Gemini Venus. So for me, you know, with Mercury in retrograde, it can make me, it's not great for thinking on the spot, even though I'm, you know, doing it right now. It's still, I noticed that when Mercury's in retrograde, my mind tends to stumble a bit more when I'm trying to think out loud, when I'm trying to speak like you know, spontaneously. Anyway, so this is somebody who's going to be better at scripted performance, because Mercury retrograde can be very good for thinking. So like better for writing and writing songs and like scripting out things, but not like improv, right? It's just too, it's a little backwards. So it's like things don't come out as quickly, as easily. Like you have to think like twice, 3 times before speaking with Mercury retrograde. Anyway, Scorpio, it's going to bring a lot of darkness to her mind. Here's the intellect conjunct the moon. So her inner mind plus her intellect and expression. This is very good for being heartfelt. You know, when Mercury has, you know, conjunction or positive aspect to the moon, then you can communicate your heart. And so it's very like touching. It's very emotional, great for the arts, great for creativity, because then your heart is being expressed easily and people can feel that, especially on the descendant. It's very powerful, right? So like whether she's acting or singing, she's able to convey her emotions, and her emotions are very, very deep. Scorpio, right? Moon is debilitating in Scorpio, 3 degrees Scorpio to be exact, but still debilitating, still very dark, especially with Pluto conjunct the moon here. Very dark, very deep feeling, very heavy, intense, deep feeling emotions. Sexual as well. Scorpio rules sexuality. Then we get all that. Like her sexuality is like on display, with especially being in the 7th house, being right conjunct the descendant. Her overt sexuality is there for all to see, and Pluto's there. So don't expect Miley Cyrus to be you know, like sexually conservative. It's never going to happen. It's not even in a hidden place. It's not like in the 12th house or, you know, 4th house where it's hiding at home, you know, things like that. 8th house or 6th house. I mean, yeah, technically it's slightly in the 6th house, but it's really conjunct the descendant. So it's very visible. And Pluto is just going to, you know, transform it. It's that binary planet that's just twisting. It twists things from deep within, right? So her mind, her intellect, her sexuality is going to have this very deep plutonic destructive quality to it that's very obsessive and deeply passionate, deeply desirous. Because Pluto in Scorpio is just so heavy and sexual, and you know, that the sexuality, the Pluto and Scorpio generation really took sexuality to a whole new dimension, because I mean, yeah, for both good and bad, but they destroyed it and reinvented it, and anyway, they really twisted and transformed sexuality and brought it, really just broke all the boundaries, and she's part of that. This moon, I mean, it's very potentially disturbed, easily disturbed moon in Scorpio, especially with Mercury in Scorpio, and Pluto in Scorpio, all conjunct. That's a very, very heavy weight on her moon. And I wouldn't be surprised if she definitely had like, and this could be more secretive, although it's hard to be too secretive on the descendant. Mental issues, certainly. She's, I mean, incredibly deep feeling. We know that moon has a hard time in Scorpio. It's opposite its exaltation in Taurus. It's not doing fantastic, but you know, we'll see. What's interesting is that it's in mutual reception with Mars, which is also debilitated in Cancer, highly debilitated at 27 degrees. I think it's 28 degrees maximum debilitation. But there's this mutual reception between Mars and Moon, a very strong one. So third house, seventh house are trading places. So expression and the house of relationship and others and the masses, communicating with the masses, right? So this is actually a nice twist of events where, you know, Mars is not doing very well in emotional Cancer, and Moon is not doing well in Mars sign of Scorpio, where it's just too turbulent. Both of them are emotional, but this gives strength to both of them, and it trades the house energies are trading places here. The expression, the communication is going into the house of others, and so that's, I mean, that's a nice quality actually. There's still troubles with it, you know. The integrity of each planet is not very good. Too much dark, heavy emotions, and Mars is, you know, being overly emotional here, and the sexuality, overt sexuality. But they're you know, they're also helped somewhat. So yeah, I don't expect her to ever be sexually prudish. You know, not with this combination, and you know, certainly not with her ascendant ruler Venus conjunct Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn. This is showing that it's also the sixth house lord, so bringing in health issues. And she was born with like a heart issue, and she has had health issues. But Venus with Uranus is showing, and Neptune is showing great unconventionality with around her own femininity. And that, coupled with the Scorpio placements, really shines a light on how over the top and unorthodox and experimental and just without boundaries she is with her own feminine sexuality, right? And her, you know, both Mars and Venus are playing into that with the trine here to the moon and the Scorpio, and then the Venus, not so much with the Capricorn, but the Venus with the Uranus and Neptune. And from a young age, she came out as, I guess, pansexual, whatever that means. I mean, it's very, you know, that's a common thing with the youth of today, to just be gender fluid, whatever that means. I think it's more mental illness than reality, but there is, you know, as far as sexuality, yeah, there's no such thing as gender fluidity. It's more sexual fluidity. Because gender is biological, has nothing to do with your state of mind. It's just, you know, they're confusing two things because we're getting into political agendas here, which is influencing the, you know, the youth's natural inclination. So what I see it as is sexual fluidity, not gender fluidity. There's no such thing as gender fluidity. That's a fabrication that is being manipulated by the political class because of, you know, current transits, mainly Neptune in Pisces. Makes everyone lose their mind and believe in all sorts of nonsense that doesn't make sense. So until Neptune moves out of Pisces, we're just going to have this influx of fake news upon lies and deceit and gaslighting and all sorts of craziness for where people who don't know how to think properly easily believe all sorts of nonsense. You're seeing that left, right, and center. People are just losing their minds, believing all the craziness and everything. There's no sense. Like, people just throw common sense and facts and logic out the window and just believe absurdities. So anyway, that's a little, diatribe tangent that I just went on. But so anyway, sexual fluidity, yeah, gender fluidity, no. Sexual fluidity here for sure with Uranus and Neptune, her being a woman, yeah, and then that, like I said, yeah, Moon and Mercury ruling her second and third house. So her voice is coming into her voice and expression into the descendant. Fantastic for reaching the masses and everything, all that. South node in Gemini, second house. So this is really influencing her voice, her expression. By the way, Taurus ascendant, I didn't even say, Taurus ascendant is great for voice in general because Taurus rules the voice. And then second house Gemini being activated by the South node. South node shows what we're born with, the skills and talents that we come in with. In Gemini, she's naturally gifted at speaking, at communicating, at expressing herself at with the voice and all that. And that the ruler, the second and third house being in the conjuncted descendant on the sixth side, but very close. I mean, Moon is within 2 degrees, Mercury is within 1 degree, and then Pluto's a little further in the sixth house, but still influencing this stellium, basically, which is basically a stellium conjuncting her descendant, because even though the sun is in the 7th house, out of sign, it's so late, the descendant is 28 degrees, sun is 1 degree, Sag, it's very close. She does have a basically new moon, so that's showing a lot of secrecy here in her moon, and I think she's probably has some psychic tendencies, believe it or not. And I don't know how aware she is of that, but there's certainly a lot going on with this moon. It's being hidden by the sun, and it's very secret. It's secret and non-secret because the descendant is such a public position, being totally exposed, by the masses. But her moon is being hidden by the sun, so is her Mercury, and so is Pluto. And it's influencing the moon. So there's stuff going on here. I'm not sure what. Probably a lot of intuition. Yeah, that's what I would say. Chiron is in the 4th house. By the way, Sun's ruling the 4th house in the 7th, or conjuncted descendant, basically. So that's showing young age, fame from a young age. Even though her, I'll get to this, Saturn's in the 10th, that would limit it to some extent, except that it's in dignity in Aquarius. I wanted to touch on the Chiron first. So Chiron in the 4th, it's squaring her Pluto and Moon and Mercury to some extent. But this is showing a lot of empathy and concern for people, for the wounded, for the weak, for the rejected, for the outcasts. And one thing to know about Miley Cyrus is that she is quite a philanthropist out of her own will. She's set up a nonprofit organization. She donates a lot of money. She really is. She was a vegan for a long time because after her dog was killed by a wild coyote. So she is and this is what one of the things that makes her like really human and really not just like this, Disney puppet who's, trying to corrupt kids, which there is that element. She played that role, but she's also has her own, side of things, which is that she really does care about humanity, people, animals, and because home is where the heart is. Fourth house is in Leo, but Chiron's in Leo. So Chiron's at home. So like her heart is very geared towards empathy, caring for the underdogs, the outcasts, the sick, the wounded. There's a lot of compassion here, in other words, for humanity, for people, for animals, for general well-being. With Chiron, even though it's square, it's still making contact to her moon and to her Mercury and to Pluto. And this shows that also that there was probably a lot of pain in her upbringing, even though she was born, basically to a wealthy, famous family and became, famous when young. There could have been abuse even there, because we know that a lot of times famous people, especially kids, suffer horrible abuse in the limelight, in Hollywood, in Disney, in famous circles. There could have been a lot of abuse, wounds, rejection, difficulties through her childhood. I'm not a hater. I don't hate somebody just because they're rich and famous. I don't hate somebody just because they're a pop star and they're superficial, right? I don't hate, I don't hate Justin Bieber because he makes ridiculous pop songs. I don't hate, I dislike some of their views, like Madonna, I don't like her political views, but I'm not going to hate her because she was a pop star. That's stupid. And I don't hate her in general. I mean, I might look at Madonna's chart sometime. The people who I dislike the most are going to be like the politicians, like Barack Obama or Joe Biden, things like that. But even then, I as an astrologer, I have to put down my own personal feelings and look at their charts and just see why they are the way they are. So anyway, Jupiter's in the fifth. That's great for creativity in general. Jupiter's ruling what? The 8th house and the 11th house. So, it's a mild malefic. It's bringing some difficulties into her career and, ups and downs, you could say, highs and lows. But Jupiter is a good planet in general, and it protects the 8th house from having too many difficulties. But, controversies, also her ascendant ruler is also ruling the 6th house. So definitely there's going to be a lot of ups and downs and controversies surrounding Miley Cyrus. Some, unfortunate events at times, but not too bad. Saturn is ruling her MC, and it's in it's conjunct the MC. So that's fantastic for career. And Saturn will elongate, will, sustain her career. It should have a limiting effect, especially early on until she becomes mature, but it really hasn't seemed to have done that much in a negative way, probably because it's in co-rulership with Uranus and Aquarius, co-rules. I mean, a lot of people would say it rules Aquarius, but I like to do the co-rulership with the outer planets. I think the original rulers have more of a physical effect, and the outer planets have more of an energetic, spiritual effect. But anyway, with the Venus and Uranus and Neptune conjunct the 9th house cusp, this is going to largely affect her belief system. And I think she considers herself a Christian. She was born Christian, but she also has some, Buddhist, Hindu beliefs, and Uranus will definitely do that. So will Neptune. That will give her more out of the box, unusual type beliefs that can change over time, even radically. So I wouldn't be surprised if one day she becomes a Taoist. The next a few years later she can become like devout Hindu, or who knows what. Maybe she'll find some weird, strange religion to believe in. But she is very philosophical and religious, naturally, because Venus is her ascendant lord. So she's going to have a love for philosophy, religion, especially the more unusual, out of the box ones that can change over time, and also travel. She's going to love touring, just being, going to foreign countries, touring all over the world, She's going to love higher, education and philosophy, all that stuff. One thing that's interesting is that her north node is conjunct her 8th house cusp. So when she gets in her upper 30s, early 40s, things are really going to change. And north node in the 8th house is not easy because it's the house of death and rebirth, of power, but of also shared resources, crisis, deep transformation, and ups and downs. And so her popularity is going to take a hit. I mean, she might actually become much more powerful as she gets older, and she probably will, but definitely much more controversial, definitely much more transformative, definitely she'll change a lot as she becomes more of an 8th house person in Sagittarius. She could go much farther into philosophy and religion. She might become a devout, religious occultist type person, because 8th house deals with the occult and Sagittarius deals with like God and religion and philosophy. So I expect things to change a lot for her. Controversy will increase, because that's a very much an 8th house thing, where you go up and down. Your career, your popularity, your fame, your notoriety can take a real hit and rise again from the ashes, like the phoenix rising. And then Sagittarius will make her much more much more of a 9th house person. This will become more and more activated. I would not be surprised to really hear about her belonging to some religious cult, or some, like I said, devout religion, or some strange philosophy, unusual occultism. Maybe she'll even get taken in by the Satanists. Who knows? Nothing's really out of the, anything's possible for Miley Cyrus. She's sort of like she's got that trickster vibe, especially with South Node and Gemini. It's really anything's possible. North Node and Sagittarius, I mean, it could go any way. But ultimately, I believe that she is not an evil person. I don't think she is at all. I think she has a lot of compassion for humanity. And though she's completely out of the box, especially with her feminine sexuality and all that stuff, I think she cares. And I think eventually she's going to be on the right side of things, especially as she matures and grows older. And I'm excited to see what she does with her life and her influence, her power. She certainly has the chart for it. Like, if anyone says that she's just a puppet and that people are just, she was just willing and that they can make anyone famous, I call bullshit. I don't believe that for a second, because I know astrology, and I will challenge anyone who thinks that it's all the powers that be that made her famous and just put her in front of people, and it could have been anyone. No, it couldn't have been. No. It's Miley Cyrus who made her own way, and of course she had help, but she was born for this. Absolutely, 100%. It's her. She has the talent and the skills and the right chart for all that. Look at that. It's all right there and here, and here and here. Here too. It's all over the place. Oh, forgot to. So okay, it's her Venus that's out of bounds. That's out of bounds. And her Mars is very slow. So let's look at that. So out of bounds planet mean breaking boundaries, right? Venus, feminine sexuality, like she's always like, talking about how she likes basically showing off her nude body. Like she likes being nude. She likes being like topless and, overly sexual. She likes breaking boundaries with her Venus. What can you say? It's like out of bounds and conjunct Uranus and Neptune. There's like no limitation to her, to how to her expression of her Venus, her female sexuality. And her Mars is also playing in there because it's very slow. It's not stationary, but Mars is ruling her technical ability. And even though it's heavily debilitated at that degree in Cancer, it is making that mutual reception with the moon. So that is a good combination here. It's gaining some dignity because of it's getting attached, it's getting trading places basically with the moon. So moon is gaining dignity and Mars is gaining dignity with the trine to their signs. And the it being almost stationary means that this Mars is actually there's a lot of technical ability here because Mars rules technical ability. So she does play instruments like piano. I don't know if she plays guitar, but I know she plays piano. So she's good at that, maybe not the best, but it's certainly unique, right? When a planet's debilitated, but then it has access to its own domicile, sign of domicile, there's almost like a reversal. Reversal of debilitation. I don't know exactly if that qualifies for a reversal, but in Vedic there are rules to that. But anyway, it's interesting. It's interesting. So yeah, that combination of being weak and strong at the same time. Anyway, so that's Miley Cyrus. Certainly a unique, interesting character. I can't say I listen to her music, although I liked her version of Jolene. Interestingly enough, Dolly Parton is her godmother. And Dolly Parton did Jolene, and that's a great song, Dolly Parton's Jolene, but Miley Cyrus did Jolene, and not bad at all. So anyway, there's that. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoy this content. And if you want to book a reading, go to my website, macroastrology.com. And thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye.